Hey there guys, so it is now the beginning of February, which means it is time for my January wrap-up. So I actually was able to finish 4 books this month, which was not as many as were on my TBR, obviously, as you guys saw, but you know, it was better than what I did, especially towards the end of last year, so I'm pretty happy with it. And as of my Goodreads goal, I am 1 book ahead, so that's a good starting level for me that I'm quite happy with. So briefly before I get into the books, I just want to kind of go over the other media that I was able to consume this month in terms of like actual notable stuff. I watched a lot of YouTube, you know, as you do. But so the only movie that I actually watched this month, I didn't go to the movies at all this month. I just didn't have the time to go this month, but I ended up watching Mowgli Legend of the Jungle, which is the new Netflix kind of adaptation of the Jungle Book, but in a different light. And eventually I do want to do a comparison between that and the new Disney version, and to the original story, but I want to make sure I can do that and talk about it knowledgeably well before I end up doing that, so it'll be a little bit, but I did watch that and it was pretty good. I would probably give it like maybe 3 or 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't like top notch, but it was a good movie. It was very visually appealing, and it was a totally different vision and than what he'd seen before, in terms of that level of stuff. So that was really nice. Basically two plays that I saw this month. I rewatched the Newsies film edition, the filmed live Newsies that they did a few years ago. I rewatched that just because I love that musical, so I felt the need to rewatch it, which was nice. And then I was actually able to go see Rent here in Detroit live for the first time. That I'd never seen that show live before, so seeing it in a theater was amazing. And I took one of my friends, and it was just an amazing evening, and we had a blast. It was an amazing show to see live, and if you ever have the chance, if you have any musical theater appreciation, you ever have a chance to see that show live with a Broadway level cast, I highly, highly recommend it. And then TV show wise, I started a rewatch of the show Reign that originally aired on the CW but is now all on Netflix. I did not watch it as it was live and coming out, but I ended up binging it a few years, like probably a year and a half ago now, and it has become one of my favorite shows. It is an amazing, amazing show. Tells the story of Mary Queen of Scots from the time when she's about 15 until she's about probably 19 or 20. And so it's a really good show, and I've become really obsessed with Mary Queen of Scots as a person. I went and saw the Mary Queen of Scots movie in December with one of my friends, which was really, really well done as well. And I'm trying to start learning more about her as a person, because her and Queen Elizabeth at the time were queens in a time when kings were the only rulers. So it's kind of a different society aspect as well that you don't really get to see very often. And then I also, just because I figured, why not throw everything I've watched this month? I also watched a season of Worst Cooks in America on Food Network. Yeah, and that was just a fun time. So anyway, those are all of the media forms that I've taken in this month, I guess. Now on to the books. In order to keep this video short, I'm gonna give brief descriptions and thoughts, and if there's any of the 4 that I talk about today that you want to know more about, just comment down below and I'll either tell you there in the comments, or I can make a review video or something like that if you guys are interested. But I have my 4 right here, so we'll start from what I finished first. And that was obviously The Lightning Thief, the illustrated edition by Rick Riordan, illustrated by John Rocco. He's done all of their illustrations. I can't say enough good things about this book. It was so amazing. It was so nice to read it again in its entirety in this form. This is a great start to my Rick Riordan reread. Having this version to read rather than, you know, like the normal book that I've read 5, 6, 7, 8 times now. But yeah, so if you even relatively enjoyed or you love the series or whatever, please pick up this version because it is so beautiful. It is so amazing to read this version of it. And it's wonderfully illustrated and I just love it. I just love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's all I can say. And then the next one I started during the Alphabet-thon, but really only got like a story into it, and that was Geektastic, which was, it's like 12 or 13 short stories, edited by Holly Black and Cecil Castellucci, and it wasn't my favorite. It had a very wide range of authors, and I'm coming to realize that short story bind-ups like this aren't really my cup of tea, which is fine. There are other people out there that love them, and it's great, but they're not really for me. I tend to need for myself more time to get into the story, more backstory, and things like that, and I really didn't get into this, so I pretty much skimmed most of the book, which isn't something I wanted to do, but I enjoyed the first few stories, so I wanted to read the rest of them, at least most of the way through, and I kind of wish I would have just stopped and DNF'd it and been done. I did not enjoy this as much as I would have liked. I really enjoyed all of the illustrations, which was kind of fun. In between, let me see if I can find one real quick. In between each short story, they had some form of like a comic strip. And so I really enjoyed reading all of these because I thought they were kind of a fun in-between thing. But I really did not enjoy the actual stories, which was disappointing. To me, at least, because I knew a lot of people enjoyed that bind-up especially, and so I wasn't really thrilled with it. The next book that I read was Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Myracle. It's 3 short stories that do end up kind of coinciding together, but it's a romance as well. It's 3 romance stories basically that take place during the winter. It looks like it's a little blown out, so I don't know what's happening with my light, but anyway, it was good. It was better than I expected, but again, I ended up skimming most of the first half because they didn't really get interesting till the end of each of these. The last one was a little bit more interesting throughout, but still I ended up skimming most of it, which was disappointing, but I also know that they're making a Hulu show or a movie or something. Some form of video format is coming out for this book, so I wanted to make sure I read it in a timely manner because I knew it was coming out soon. But yeah, this book form, they were good stories, they just didn't have the substance to them throughout that I would have liked personally. Basically, I didn't have a good reading month because this last book I also did not enjoy very much. And that was Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Broche. It was good. I'm basically just going to say it was good, but I just did not like, I didn't like it. I feel like a lot of the drawback was this specific addition to For Myself. It's a very thick and dense book. And like you wouldn't think like, okay, it's not that thick honestly, but it is very dense, very heavy. There's a little bit of heavy material in it, but it's physically heavy. And like there was just like, so I'm on this page and you really have to break the spine to be able to even see the entire thing. And that was a real drawback for me, so I really didn't feel like, I know it sounds kind of stupid, but it was so much work to hold this book open to read it. So there were a lot of parts I skimmed, but I knew it had gotten such rave reviews, and I just felt bad. I think I ended up giving it on Goodreads like a 3 out of 5 because it was good, and the parts that I read, like really read, were phenomenal, but I just didn't like it. I don't know if I would reread it in a different format. Yeah, it was not great. Honestly, I'm glad I got this at a bargain price. I got this off of Book Depository at the beginning of the last semester. Along with one of my textbooks, I just ordered a couple of other things because I was already ordering things, so this was like, it was cheap basically, and I'm glad I got it at bargain price and didn't pay full price for it, because I don't know, I didn't like it at all. So it was good, it wasn't my favorite, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that is it for this video. Those were the 4 books that I finished this month. They're on the floor, so I'm not going to even bother picking them up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope next month is a little bit better of a reading month for myself. I am setting the bar a little bit lower for myself. I know 11 books was way outlandish. Had I kept the same momentum that I had, I would have finished 11 books in a month. Within the first 4 days of the year, so by the end of the day, January 4th, I'd finished the first 3 books that I'd read this month, which was amazing, but it made the rest of the month feel awful because I was reading, but I wasn't finishing anything. I was reading a chapter of this book here, I was reading a chapter here, so I was getting through with some books, but not finishing them. So the numbers wise was kind of bogged me down a little bit, but so I'm setting the bar a little bit lower. I'm changing up some things on my TBR for next month, which will be the next video that I post. I'm actually filming it right after this one, so you'll see it soon. But yeah, so anyway, that is it for this video today, guys. I hope this wasn't too terribly long. Honestly, I don't know what the time is. It's not as long as I think it is, which is great. But anyway, yeah, so I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye!